Hi, I'm John Davis, and this is Motor Week.
Join us as we test one high-performing four-door, the Acura TLX Type S. We'll get some much-needed recalibration down at Goss's Garage. Roger Mecca takes us for a spin in a British-born exotic. Then we'll drive the high SUV life in the Mercedes-Benz GLS.
So come drive with us next.
Motor Week, television's original automotive magazine, brought to you by...
For more than 30 years, Lucas Oil Products has helped people tackle mechanical problems in the automotive, marine, and industrial fields. From our original four-core products, heavy-duty oil stabilizer, power steering stop leak, transmission fix, and fuel treatment, Lucas Oil has developed over 400 custom products to help both professionals and do-it-yourselfers. To learn more, visit lucasoil.com. Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
You're shopping for tires online and you have questions.
I do.
We're TireRack.com and we have answers and tools to help.
Like our tire decision guide. It's, take a look.
TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install.
It's been 13 years since we've seen a Type S badge on an Acura. Well, it has returned, and bringing it back is the already delightful TLX sedan. But naturally, the Type S TLX is now the best performing Acura four-door ever. Sounds like the type of Acura that we need to hop in and put down the hammer. Acura is quick to point out that the Type S formula is designed to create ultimate street performance, whereas Honda's Type R is more track and autocross ready. And after spending time behind the wheel of this 2021 Acura TLX Type S, we came away convinced it's a TLX that's been hanging out a lot with the NSX and has turned into an overachiever to keep up. So with that in mind, let's see what makes a TLX Type S. Starting under the hood, it's an all-new 3-liter V6 turbo with 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. Designed by the same folks that gave us the NSX's powertrain. The double wishbone front and multi-link rear suspension are upgraded with standard adaptive dampers and bigger stabilizer bars. Wheels are 20-inch shark gray lightweight alloys, upgradable to summer performance tires. Brembo brakes with 4-piston calipers are added, as is an additional Sport Plus mode to the integrated dynamic system, and even extra chassis bracing front to back. Say what you want about Acura's tech-heavy approach, but their super-handling all-wheel drive system is no joke. In the Type S, it puts power down better than ever. Next, it's off to Mason-Dixon Dragway to see how it all comes together. At launch, there's no lag and no wheel spin. The Type S just hooks up and goes to 60 in 5.1 seconds with plenty of low-end torque in the offing. The upgraded 10-speed automatic transmission delivers fast and firm shifts throughout the quarter mile. Type S power does seem to taper off at the top end of the tack, and the engine has more of a high-pitched inline sound than torquey V6. But it's overall still quite rewarding, and with a 13.7-second quarter at 102 miles per hour, almost a second faster than the standard TLX. The Type S's livelier feel was immediately apparent in our handling course. Turn-ins are extremely quick, catching us off guard at first as we weren't expecting such immediacy. The steering is heavy, but could still use more road feel. As we pushed harder through the cones, there was also bumpiness to the chassis, as well as that ever-present sense of computer-aided performance as SHAWD shifts power to the rear and whichever wheel offers the most grip, eliminating any hint of understeer. So it may not feel the smoothest, but it has great balance, and we were really hustling through here. The new Sport Plus drive mode, of course, sets all systems to maximum effect, including throttle response, shift mapping, active exhaust, steering effort, damping, torque vectoring, and even interior lighting. The Brembo Brakes front rotors are upgraded in size by more than an inch over the standard TLX, and they bite down hard as the whole car hunkers down to consistent stops of just 110 feet from 60 miles per hour. Off the track, road ride is noticeably firmer than our long-term TLX A-Spec, but not ridiculously so. And opting for the Type S is proof enough you know what you're getting into. In fact, comfort and size are both benefits compared to European and Asian competition. Front sport seats are still wide and very comfortable. Interior upgrades include a flat-bottom steering wheel, aluminum trim, and French stitching. Plus, Acura keeps real gauges, which we love, and puts plenty of info in the center on a 7-inch display. Government fuel economy ratings are 19 city, 25 highway, and 21 combined. We average defined 23.7 miles per gallon of premium. Type S pricing starts at $53,345. Considering there's not a whole lot you can add on top of that and it includes all-wheel drive, it's clearly one of the best values in the middle ground sports sedan segment. Acura has been espousing their performance car mantra for years with both hit and miss results. Outside of the NSX, the TLX Type S is their most direct hit yet. It's quick, turns on a wish, and stops fast. Plus, it's still a comfy long-distance cruiser and pretty frugal too. For us, the 2021 Acura TLX Type S delivers on the total performance sedan experience like never before.
For nearly 30 years, the Lotus Esprit was a staple of the mid-engine sports car world. It was at the start and remains a bargain compared to classic exotics from Ferrari and Lamborghini. With this in mind, our Roger Mecca wanted to discover for himself if this British-built Esprit really is worthy of the same attention as its classmates from Italy.
From the moment it debuted at the 1975 Paris Auto Show, the Lotus Esprit has been turning heads and making hearts race. The stunning Giugiaro-styled body was an instant hit, and for the next 3 decades, the Esprit developed a loyal following.
And for good reason, because despite having less power and fewer cylinders than many of its contemporaries, for as long as the Esprit was in production, it was considered one of the best handling and most exciting supercars ever made.
Just getting into it just puts me in the best place I could possibly be in. It's every second I'm driving it is pure joy. I never get tired of it. The sort of immediate throttle response, the immediate steering response, the immediate braking response, all of that just makes it just such a pleasure to drive.
For 22 years, Jeff Wong has been the owner of this 1987 Lotus Esprit Turbo HCI. Known as the Series 3 or S3, this iteration was the last to retain the timeless styling by the legendary Italian car designer Giorgetto Giugiaro. So while the Esprit was created to go head-to-head with the Italians, it certainly looked like something that had rolled out of the factory in Maranello. But the next year, British designer Peter Stevens, who would later design the legendary McLaren F1, redid the Esprit's exterior, softening the classic wedge styling. So for many Lotus fans, Jeff included, the S3 marks the high point of the Esprit's illustrious life.
To me, especially the Series 3 Esprits, to me are the pinnacle of the design for the sort of pure sports car. There was no power brakes, there was no power steering. I feel totally in touch with the road more than any other car I've ever driven.
Back in the late 80s, Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Porsches were getting all of the attention, but in many ways, the Esprit is actually the better car. It's just as fast as a Ferrari 328, it handles better than a 911, and is way more practical and easier to drive than a Countach. So it was everything you wanted out of a supercar, all in a beautiful package.
But by today's standards, the S3 Esprit's numbers don't seem particularly impressive. You'll hit 60 in about 5.5 seconds, it'll take you 14 seconds to hit the quarter mile, and on a long enough road, you could reach 150. But this is a car where the numbers don't tell the whole story.
Despite this car only having 215 horsepower from its 2.2-liter engine, it is surprisingly fast. Oof, and the acceleration is just so smooth. I know it's a turbo, but there's almost no lag at all. But the real ace in the hole of the Esprit all comes down to the weight.
Lotus engineers had a mantra: performance through lightweight. Which is a simple idea. The less a car weighs, the more nimble, responsive, and faster it can be, even without a big 8 or 12-cylinder engine. Combined with a turbo that provides a wonderful flood of torque, a lack of weight is a major reason the S3 Esprit still carries the reputation as being one of the best handling sports cars to ever grace a curvy road. But some of that poise was lost in 1988, when the Peter Stevens design added more than 300 pounds to meet US safety standards. As MotorWeek discovered in a road test of that version, it was still impressive, but many fans say it just wasn't quite the same. But one thing that has always been true of the Esprit is just how civilized and comfortable it is to live with. Unlike many of its rivals, you can cruise in the S3 for hours on end, eating up mile after mile. It's easy to see out of, the leather seats are perfectly supportive, the ride is smooth, and everything is in easy reach. And though it doesn't like to be rushed, the transmission's short throws and slick transitions become second nature. There's no power steering, a feature offered in the subsequent model, but it quickly lightens up once you start driving, and even sitting still, it's far lighter than many of its Italian peers. And while its Italian cousins may have been fighting for the spotlight, the Esprit was happy to be on a quiet stretch of twisty road, putting smiles on the faces of everyone who was lucky enough to get behind the wheel.
For the most part, the safety systems on our cars operate behind the scenes without any input from us. But that doesn't mean they don't need routine care. So let's head to Goss's Garage to get calibrated.
When it comes to automobiles these days, the word of the day seems to be cameras and computers. Cars are loaded with them. We have cameras everywhere. They give you surround views of the vehicle so that you can back up accurately and so on. They help with steering. They help with braking. They have all of these different things that the cars do autonomously. Well, that means that these cameras have to be accurate. And most of the cameras are either mounted in the front bumper or in the windshield. So what happens here? You have to have a windshield replaced? Well, in many cases, you have to have that camera recalibrated. Has to be made so that it sees in the right direction. Now, the reason for this is real simple. You see, the camera looks at the road and looks at the vehicles and everything ahead of you. That camera then sends a signal to the computer. The computer analyzes that signal and applies the brakes, or it may help steer the car, or who knows, it does all sorts of different things. So the reality of this is that when you have a minor deviation at the camera, that deviation gets larger the farther away from the vehicle the obstacle is. So if you have a camera that's not properly adjusted, you could wind up with a situation where your car helps steer you off the road or does some other crazy thing. So the cameras, to adjust them, requires specialized equipment. This equipment is very sophisticated. It checks to make sure the car is level. Oh, and by the way, it also checks to make sure the wheel alignment is proper on the car. Oh yeah, it's got to be aligned. So that's all part of it. Now, in addition to that, in some cars you'll have to have a full tank of fuel, and there are going to be other requirements. Tire pressure has to be right, and the list goes on and on. The equipment checks for these things. Then it tells the technician what to do as far as aligning the cameras to make sure that they're going to tell you the right information, or will tell your car the proper information. So if you do some checking, ask your dealer if your car is one that needs recalibration after a repair, and then you follow through with that. You'll make sure that the job is right and your car will be safe. And if you have a question or comment, drop me a line right here at MotorWeek.
Time now to hit the road for a new round of Quick Spins.
This week, we're off to New York for a quick spin in the 2022 Toyota GR86 Sports Coupe. Now wearing the Gazoo Racing or GR badge, just like Toyota's other collaborative coupe, the Supra. Yes, this new GR86 remains a joint project with Subaru. where it's known as the BRZ. So it's no surprise this second generation still uses a Subaru-sourced 4-cylinder boxer engine. But now it's a 2.4-liter with a slight horsepower bump to 228. The standard 6-speed manual transmission was thoroughly tinkered with to provide smoother shifts, while the 6-speed automatic now adds shift paddles to the steering wheel. 0 to 60 time is improved by nearly a second over the first-gen car, with the manual getting there in 6.1 seconds. Base models ride on 17-inch wheels with Michelin Primacy HP tires, while premium trims get 18 inches wrapped in stickier Michelin Pilot Sport 4s. Inside, all models go with a nice-looking digital gauge cluster and 8-inch center touchscreen. When it comes to the chassis, both trims are identical, using McPherson struts up front and a double wishbone rear. All this to say, the GR86 is a driver's car, which is why Toyota invited us up to Monticello Motor Club in New York for some track time.
Well, one thing's for sure, the personality of the original 86 has carried over into the new one. It's very confidence-inspiring on the racetrack. It's not overpowered, it's really well balanced, so throwing it into a corner and then correcting if you have to is really easy.
The 2022 Toyota GR86 is set to hit dealers this fall, with prices starting under $30,000.
The Hyundai Santa Cruz travels through uncharted territory within the SUV, truck, and crossover segments. There's nothing like this for sale right now in the United States. It's being dubbed a sport adventure vehicle. We recently got behind the wheel and drove around beautiful Palo Alto and even up the incredible Santa Cruz Mountains. This vehicle looks cool, and we felt pretty cool driving it. It was very spacious inside and felt nimble on the roads. The Santa Cruz shares a platform with the Tucson. Power comes in two forms, a 2.5-liter i4 with 191 horsepower and a 2.5-liter turbocharged i4 with 281 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. All-wheel drive is available with both engines. There are so many state-of-the-art tech and safety features, not to mention other really cool, unexpected details, especially when it comes to the bed.
What I really love about the Santa Cruz is this hidden underbed cooler, and it comes standard on every vehicle. You just throw soda, beer in here. It's gonna keep cool for hours, and you don't have to bring a cooler with you on your next adventure. Then when you're done for the day, you just twist the drain, pull it out, and everything is gonna drain right out.
This vehicle is meant to inspire people to be active, seek adventure, and live a healthier lifestyle. And it did just that during our drive. The Santa Cruz is produced in Alabama. It starts at just under $24,000. We will have much more on this sport adventure vehicle soon on Motor Week.
It's hard to believe, but our time with this 2021 Kia Seltos utility is quickly coming to an end. Through 12 months, it's seen us through a global pandemic, a mid-Atlantic winter, and even the remains of a hurricane or two, all without complaint while delivering a fairly consistent 28.5 miles per gallon average over 13,000 miles. It's hard to stand out in such a crowded small crossover field, but this Seltos manages to do it. Ours has a lot of flash with its yellow paint job, but there is substance to back it up, specifically the engine. It's only a 1.6-liter Turbo 4, but it's sneaky powerful. The Seltos is one small crossover that's not afraid to look like a full-on SUV, taking styling notes from Kia's biggest utility, Telluride, standing out for reasons other than just its star-bright yellow paint job. We'll plug into updates on our all-electric Porsche Taycan and plug-in hybrid Toyota Prius Prime on the next Motor Week long-term road test update.
Luxury vehicles come in all shapes and sizes these days, but more and more they come in the form of a sport utility vehicle. Mercedes-Benz alone has 9 to choose from. And while the GLS isn't the most expensive, it is the biggest. So let's see what the latest GLS has to offer.
Mercedes-Benz considers their S-Class sedan to be the finest automobile in the world. So it's to be expected the SUV that's based on it would be pretty special as well. And indeed, the theme of the 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLS is more. More space, more comfort, more luxury, and more refinement than ever before. As to space, this rugged-looking third-generation GLS doesn't occupy a whole lot more of it than before, but there are 2.4 inches of additional wheelbase, providing more interior room to roam at all seats. Comfort up front has been refined to the extreme, all 3 rows of seats really, with adult space even in the third row. Though just 2 seats in back means it's set up for 7 passengers, 6 if you opt for second-row captain's chairs. Cargo space behind the third row grows as well, now 17.4 cubic feet, expanding to 48.7 behind the second row and maxing out at 84.7 with all seats folded. Seats fold with a push of a button, and you can even lower the rear sill when loading bulky items. Mercedes-Benz recently announced they were getting out of the V8 engine business, and while nothing sounds like a V8, the Turbo 6 in this GLS 450 sure does feel like one and is rated to tow 7,700 pounds. It's an inline 6 that cranks out 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, plus gets an EQ boost from an integrated starter generator that can add another 21 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque on top of that. Transmission is a 9-speed automatic, and 4MATIC all-wheel drive is standard. That AWD mixed with a hearty helping of low-end torque made for a speedy track send-off. The GLS 450 bites down hard and leaps to 60 in just 5.3 seconds. If that's not quick enough for you, there is still a 4-liter turbo V8 available in regular, AMG, and even Maybach-specific tunings. Automatic shifts are plenty quick, with a subtle surge of power accompanying each one. The quarter-mile passes by in a quick 13.9 seconds at 99 miles per hour, with a nice, smooth 6-cylinder Melody your soundtrack. It feels plenty stable as it approaches triple digits and would certainly be at home during extended high-speed Autobahn or stateside interstate travels. And it feels equally capable in twists and turns. Our testers' winter tires did give things a squishy feel through our slalom course, but there was very little body roll and no excessive understeer or oversteer, making the GLS drive much smaller than it is. Refined braking performance too, with a solid feeling pedal, great stability, and tidy stops of just 118 feet from 60. Not much more you can ask for here. Competent handling and speedy acceleration certainly endear a vehicle to us, but how well a luxury vehicle pampers its occupants is the most important thing to well-heeled buyers. Tech is as comprehensive as you'd expect in a top-shelf Mercedes-Benz, and they have a way of incorporating everything in a more beautiful fashion than most, though the sheer number of comfort and luxury features here keeps it from being the most user-friendly. Just remember, you can always speak everything into existence with a little, "Hey, Mercedes." MB Tech's upholstery is standard with a host of fine leathers and real wood accents available. It's hard to see a $77,050 base price as a bargain, but for the sheer amount of luxury you get here, it certainly seems more than reasonable. So, the 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLS 450 4MATIC does indeed offer more of everything. And despite the immense amount of competition it faces, the overall behind-the-wheel experience of the GLS really does stand out as something special among its peers. It's not quite an S-Class sedan, but it is the closest you can get if you want to make a utility vehicle your next luxury ride.
Well, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, for more Motor Week, including daily news updates, podcasts, and even complete episodes, cruise on over to pbs.org/motorweek. And I hope you'll join us next time for an electrifying EV special edition. We'll survey the latest affordable pure electrics, then test a high-end plug-in hybrid from BMW, and much more. Till then, I'm John Davis. We'll see you right here on Motor Week.
To learn more about Motor Week, television's original automotive magazine, visit pbs.org/motorweek. To order a DVD of this program, call 1-800-873-6154. Motor Week has been brought to you by...
For more than 30 years, Lucas Oil Products has helped people tackle mechanical problems in the automotive, marine, and industrial fields. From our original 4-core products, heavy-duty oil stabilizer, power steering stop leak, transmission fix, and fuel treatment, Lucas Oil has developed over 400 custom products to help both professionals and do-it-yourselfers. To learn more, visit lucasoil.com. Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
You're shopping for tires online and you have questions.
I do.
We're TireRack.com and we have answers and tools to help.
Like our tire decision guide. It's, take a look.
TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install.
This program was produced by Maryland Public Television, which is solely responsible for its content.
You're watching PBS.